Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma and this is our weekly editorial analysis. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to everybody. Can you hear and see me clearly, everyone? I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting. We had some technical issue going on. My laptop was hanging a lot, but now everything's sorted. I hope you can hear and see me clearly. If you could quickly confirm that, we shall start with our session. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right. So thank you so much for waiting. Thank you so much for being here with me. What are we going to do in the class today? Let's have a look very quickly. So since our classes have now come down to once a week, I very specifically choose articles from one source or maybe a couple of them. Today I brought only one article and the source I wouldn't tell you. Plus, I am also not going to tell you the gist of the article. Usually when you see the headline of the article, the heading of it, you know exactly what the article talks about. Today's article is a little confusing if you look at it from the perspective of what the main idea is. We usually aren't able to identify the main idea in this article. So it's a little tricky. We're going to try to identify the main idea and I'm going to give you a little bit of homework as well. Lots of inference to do from the article. Vocabulary, not many. Lot of inference, lot of lines to focus on. We'll also focus on what lines to read and what lines to leave. That's exactly what we're going to be doing in the class today. So before I show you the article, let me first tell you that we have our last lab to NMAT going on for 2022. If you are sitting for this examination, make sure you attend the complete revision series, which is going to happen in the next coming 15 days. It starts on 19th and would end on 3rd. Make sure you attend all of them. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done that yet. Also, if you're targeting CAT 2023, we have a comprehensive program that we have launched. You could enroll yourself for this program as well. The details are here in my background. Now, I'm going to show you the slide here, the first slide of the article that I've brought. I want you to give this a read, okay? And tell me, is there a line the author is putting across an argument with? Or is this whole page full of premise? That's the only thing we're going to be focused on in this page right now. Here we go with the first page. Read this and send me done once you're done reading that. Yes, Dia, you could leave. Okay, now that you've read this page, we know for sure that there's an important argument the author is making in this page. That, of course, is going to be the first paragraph. While we were learning methodologies of how to read an article, how to gauge the idea, the theme, the gist of it, what exactly is the author saying, I focused on a few things. One, of course, was to focus on the very first paragraph and the last paragraph of the entire article. Most of the times, it will help you understand exactly author kya bolna chahta hai. What exactly is the whole passage talking about? So the author clearly puts across his own argument and he says that everyone would move out of school. You, I, all of us have moved out of school, and that what you learn in school doesn't matter at all. You might agree to it. I certainly do to a large extent. But the author partially claims here that the school is a useless place. I mean, if I can use the crude word, it's a pretty useless place for him. That we forget what we've learned in the schooling. And the entire next paragraph is an explanation to the first paragraph, that why does he think the school and the learning that we get in our school is a useless one, and why we tend to forget things out of it. There's another important claim the author has made here. What do you think that is? And another important claim the author has made in the whole page. What do you think is that? Can you identify that claim? And I'll tell you exactly why do I ask you to identify claims here. I'll teach you that as well. Do you find another important claim made by the author here? Online studies during pandemic, absolutely. And you see the last line, he says that you talk about online learning or offline learning. It's not which one is better. The author considers both of them equally bad. So when the pandemic hit us, there was an entire saga that started off with how online teaching is harming us. Taking school classes online, students aren't able to understand the thing at all. But the author says, ये दोनों equally खराब है. That is, both the kind of teaching, online or offline, when you get to the school and sit in a classroom and learn, both are equally bad. So not one is better than the other. That's another important claim the author has made here. Now, there's another question that I would ask you. Why are we focusing on these arguments? Why do I always ask you to identify the author's arguments? What is the importance of it? Let's have a quick discussion about that. We tend to forget what we learn. Yes, Mohit. Maybe the paradox between this actual learning, actual saying, and intention. Okay, Om. Good try. As useless. Yes, Disha. Correct. Now, tell me something. Why are we focusing on arguments? What is the purpose of it? What do we learn through this? If I'm reading an article which is going to be in abundance in any of the MBA entrance examinations that we sit for, why do we need to focus on such arguments? To identify the main idea, Amrit, that is absolutely right. देखो, एक बात समझो everyone. When we focus on arguments of the author, arguments are exactly those lines that help us answer the main theme. Yes, Amrit, Disha, you're right. It helps us answer every other related question. That could be the tone of the author, the summary of the passage. If you have smaller paragraphs, summary based questions, you'll be able to answer that. Structure of the passage. What happens next? If the passage is continued, what will happen next? And most of the inference questions will either be deriving out of the arguments of the author, or if they don't derive out of the arguments of the author, option elimination is going to be a cakewalk for you. So when you are reading an article, please focus on these specific lines that I am pointing out. कैसी lines? जो author की personal opinions हैं. The lines that are focusing on exactly what the author thinks. That will help you eliminate most of the options. Next time, I would probably bring in a passage with questions for you, and we'll try to apply this knowledge. If, ma'am, can I eliminate options with the idea that I've brought from the passage? Yes, you can. So let's move on with it. Let's continue with the idea of the passage. For now, we know the author thinks that schools are useless. We don't retain anything from the school. We'll continue with the idea. We'll see if the author adds on more things, because as I said, the main idea in this passage is not really easy. That means there's something else to come ahead. Let's read the second page and send me done. Yeah, Mohit, give me a second. I'll do that. Are you done reading this? Is this whole page premise, or is there an argument here? Do you find an argument by the author, or you can just skim through the page? It's full of premise here. What do you think? Do we have any argument, or you could have skimmed? Yes, there is. Yes. Yes, there is an argument. I'll tell you. See, you can absolutely skim through the entire page. There's one important thing that he says in support of the claim that he's made in the first page. Focus on one thing that we're doing here. When we say this page is basically written to support one claim that the author has made in the first page, we are practicing mind mapping. A few days back, let me talk to you a bit about this one, because a few days back, a couple of people sent me this message that, ma'am, we are able to understand it when we do it in a class, but we aren't able to apply this to our scores in a mock. How many of you belong to the same category? I'd like to talk to you about that. When we do it in a class, when I give you ample of time here, you're able to understand the gist of the passage, but you probably don't get questions correct. You probably are not able to retain this while you're answering questions in a mock. How many of you belong to that category? I remember a couple of you telling me this as well. A lot of you. I'll tell you a couple of things why this actually happens. But a lot of people, when they read an article because an article is there in the examination, yeah, and inference questions as well. Yes, Mohit. So they read an article. Understand this, okay? I'll give you a bigger picture here. You read an article because there is a passage in the examination and it's an inevitable question. You have to attempt it for the sake of attempting it, and you have to answer it. While you are done reading a passage in an examination, in a mock, are you able to retain everything that's written in the passage? Do you have a picture ready in your head exactly what the passage spoke about? If you aren't able to retain that, if you are not able to make a bigger picture in your head, you, my child, have wasted your time reading that passage. That is, by the end of the passage, if you have invested time in reading a passage, if you haven't invested your time reading in the passage, if you just skim through it for the sake of answering one or two questions because you don't have time, I'm absolutely okay with that. But if you are reading a passage, if you've invested time in doing that and you're unable to retain what the passage says and how the information flows, you have wasted your time. तो कैसे पढ़ना है? How are you supposed to read that you're able to get the information back? Mind mapping is one technique that I will always highly promote. One thing that I taught you in the beginning of the class was to know exactly what the main idea is. For that, focusing on the arguments of the author. And the other is mind mapping. What exactly is mind mapping? Mind mapping right now in the passage can be this page. How is this page connected to the penultimate one? This page, in my mind, I'll say, okay, here, what does the author say? Answering this question in your head will help you mind map. While you're practicing, this might take a bit more time, but we still have months. Okay, and we can make this happen. So this page precisely helps us understand the claim made by author in the previous page. That's the purpose of this page. Every page, every paragraph, you should ask yourself this. How is this paragraph connected to the penultimate one? How is this paragraph connected to the argument the author has made? Will you be able to do that, everybody? Okay. Now, Disha and Mohit, I'll answer this question gradually. We'll first read this part, okay? We'll continue with what exactly is the agenda of the class. Let's mind map here. This page is an explanation of the claim the author made, that is, schools are useless, we don't retain anything. Then he justifies it. He says, this is specifically true for subjects that's beyond reading, writing, and arithmetic. Beyond that, we're unable to retain a lot of things. When I studied physics in class 9th and 10th, I don't remember what I had studied. I don't remember most of the things. Can you tell me why do we not remember all that beyond reading, writing, arithmetic? And that's the answer is simple, because we don't use that a lot. We use reading, writing, arithmetic even beyond our schooling. But other subjects, we don't use that. Since there is no repetition, we tend to forget what was taught to us in the school. So the author makes a big claim. What is taught is not in sync with what is useful to us. And that exactly what the author here says. Exactly. Okay. I always keep saying that our schools should have taught us how to file income tax. You and I, everyone's going to do that. And why is only a commerce kid, and that to a CA, taught that? You and I, we need to know that as well. So what is taught in the school and what is useful is not in sync. That's the another important claim the author has made here. Now read the next page and make a mind map. How is the next page connected to the first two pages here? Page number 3, read this and send me a done. Make a mind map. Do you see the first paragraph? It's such a rude one. Were you able to make a mind map here? How is this page connected to the first two pages? What is the author's purpose of writing this page? What is it doing here? Make a mind map. Tell me what is the author doing here? How is this page connected to the penultimate or the first two pages? He continues to explain his claim. He continues to justify his claim that we don't remember anything from our schools. Yes, exactly. And the first paragraph here in this page is such a beautifully written one. He says, ABCD आता है, but उसके आगे नहीं आता. You are illiterate. We will not call you half literate. So similarly, if you know half physics or half chemistry or half accountancy, you are illiterate in that subject. We will not call you half literate. It's like a tight slap on our faces that we are illiterates. We don't know a thing. So that's exactly the author is doing here. He's making a claim. He's supporting his argument. Yes. So I can say the whole page is a part of the premise only. But did I tell you? Yes, incomplete knowledge is as good as zero knowledge. Exactly. Now, did I tell you the main idea here is a tricky one? I'm sure you were unable to see that yet. You see, the main idea is clear that schools are useless. We don't retain anything. So, ma'am, why are you saying the main idea is tricky here? Brace yourself. It's about to appear in front of you. Let's move to the next page. Read that and send me a done. Make a mind map in your head. Okay. Good luck. few very important things here. I hope you were able to locate those, notice those. My first question, the author starts talking about American schools here. How does it look like to you? American schools are part of premise or main argument? First question. American schools, American education, is it a part of the premise or the main idea for now? American schools here is a part of the premise only. Okay, hi Tushar, good morning. It's a part of only and only the premise to justify why we don't remember anything from the school. It's a premise, Disha, it's a premise. Okay, next thing, what does the author say about schools and its importance with regard to employability of a person? What is the claim the author has made here? What is the relationship between schooling and your employability? Answer this. What is the relationship between the both? Relationship between your employability and school. What is the relationship? Now, when I ask you this, you have this page in front of you and you can read the line again and again. But while you're answering such a question in a passage, will you be coming back to the passage to answer this question? You should not have. You should have paid attention to arguments the author has made. The author puts across his personal opinion that schooling, exactly, yes Rahul, you're right. It prepares a foundation for actual training, yes Disha, and it's like your passport to a job. You know, when Flipkart would hire senior managers for supply chain, they would want an MBA from a premium A grade schools, okay? So, for example, I'm Ahmedabad, they would hire somebody. It is your passport. But then, according to the author, it will not ensure that you know things. It is that you have studied that. But most of the learning that you get would not be from the degree that you have. Most of the learning that you have will be on the job. And that's why training is an imperative part of MBA programs. They would hire CAs, they would hire MBAs, but it's only your passport that you have left behind so many kids, made your way to a premium B school, but it doesn't ensure that you know much more than other people do. You learn on the job. On this note, answer, what does this highlighted line mean? And that's why credential proliferation pays countries so poorly. What is the meaning of this line? And that's why credential proliferation pays countries so poorly. Think about it. He's made a big claim here. It's his personal opinion. A big claim. The moment the author makes a claim, you need to know the line. That's how you reduce your referring back to the passage again and again for answering questions. That's how you retain information towards the end, by processing these lines then and there when you read them. So reading them and simultaneously processing them is really important. What does the line mean? And that's why credential proliferation pays countries so poorly. Credentials, I'm an MBA, I'm a CA, I'm a graduate. Exactly. Yes, Disha. Okay. No, no, Rahul. See, the claim here is that if I just hand out degrees, universities पे universities बना दिए, there are many universities, many courses that the government has launched. It will increase your credentials. Okay, I'm an MBA, I'm a CA, मेरे credentials. It will proliferate my credentials. Exactly, Mohit. So it will add on to your degree, but it will not pay you well because what you've learned in a classroom, it doesn't go with you once you leave the classroom. So it goes back. The cycle is complete here. You see, the main claim the author had made in the first page that you don't retain anything. So degree pe degree le loge and you're unable to retain anything. Will it pay you? No, it would not. So getting a degree is useless, according to the author here. Countries only focus on churning out the certification and they don't lead to reduction in the effective unemployment. Yes, correct. It doesn't increase employment opportunities for them because they don't remember anything. So even if Bangladesh focuses on giving out so many degrees, their population may not be employable. Okay, because it's only a passport, but it will not ensure that you paid really well. This page is done. Let's move to the next page, everyone. Read this. I think these are the last two pages. Last three pages. Okay. Read this page and send me a done. Quickly. Such a beautiful claim. My motherhood absolutely agrees to the claim made here. It says, and it's a very strong claim. It says schools का एक ही काम. The only job schools have is to provide daycare. While I am working, the schools will take care of my child. Because eventually, homework तो मुझे ही कराना है. I have to make my daughter learn things. I have to teach her. So the author makes a very, very big claim. He says the only thing schools do is providing a daycare. I'm sure exactly, absolutely, I would agree with it. For me, I am absolutely in sync with this line. For me, it's more like a daycare for my child. My child is away and I can work, I can focus on my work. So, big claim made by the author. He says, when the schools closed, of course, we were unhappy because the children were at home all the time. And when they've opened, we are happy, not because of the claims made by the popular newspapers that they have lost their learning and they have been left behind for a year or two. No, absolutely not. They have not gone to the daycare. That is all that matters here. Nothing else that's important here. Let's move to the next page, everybody. This page. Now, be very attentive because there's going to be confusion with the main idea now. Read this and send me done. Hi, Gagandeep. Quickly read the page. Okay, done. My first question. Taxpayers' money, schools, all are American schools, right? Do you see the author deviating from making a common claim that schools are useless to zeroing upon the fact that American schools are useless? American schools take up taxpayers' money and they don't give anything in return. Since, let's do mind mapping here. What's the link of this page to the penultimate page? The penultimate page said schools have only one job, and that's to provide daycare. COVID timing mein, you increased the funding that you received and you failed to provide even the basic purpose that you had, providing daycare. You did not do that. So the whole idea of taking so much money from taxpayers, utilizing it in schools, it's a whole scam. It's a cartel, which is not going to yield anything to us. My question, is the main idea about all the schools, or is the main idea about American schools? There's another page to read. We'll go back to it later on and I'll give you a homework. For now, what do you think? Is the main idea only about all the schools, how schools are useless, or how American schools are misutilizing their powers, the taxpayers' money, their not being in sync with what is needed in real life? All the schools, American schools. Okay. I'll show you the next page, and that's the closure of the whole passage. Read that. Probably the closure can give you more clarity about what the main idea is. But before that, did you hit the like button? If you haven't done that, please do that right now. And then I'll show you the next page. That's the closure. Let's see what the main idea is and let the confusion increase. Here we go. Last page, last. Yeah. Read this and send me done. Okay, Gagandeep, I can give this a try. Kaushal, we have our last lab 2 NMAT starting 19th. Make sure you attend that. Everything is going to be covered there. It's the last lab that is a complete revision series to NMAT. Make sure you attend those. Every day you'll have classes. Back to the question here. Bhai, what is the main idea now? Is it about all the schools? Is it about government school, or is it about private schools? Because here in the last paragraph, the author promotes private schools. He said, okay, the only purpose you had was providing us with a daycare. Once the pandemic started, the government schools just stopped providing us with that offer. They did not offer us any daycares. The private schools did. So, is the purpose of the passage criticizing all the schools or criticizing the government schools of America? What is the purpose? The answer remains unanswered today. You have a little bit of homework, everyone. I'll end my class in the next 1 minute, 2 minutes. Once I end my class, you have to come under my video and type the answer in the comment section. Not in the chat box right now, in the comment section. With what do you think is the gist of the passage, the main idea of the passage, the summary of the passage, the argument of the author, whatever, however you answer that. I will be answering to each comment. Personally, I'll be addressing each answer and I'll tell you exactly how you were correct or wrong with the gist that you had written. So your homework is to comment under my video with what the main idea is. Is it about criticizing all the schools, criticizing American schools, or criticizing the government schools in America and promoting the private ones? It still goes unanswered. Okay, so that was all for today, everyone. Please do not leave the class without liking it. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Comment under the video with the homework. I'll check each one of the comments. I'll add on, subtract things, whatever I think is necessary. Share the video with all your friends and download our app on Google Play. Also follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram. That is all for today, everyone. Disha, what's your question? Let me see. What's your question, Disha? Can you please reiterate that? Government school, okay. I am troubled with certain specific topics of RC. Yes. Disha, पता है ऐसा क्यों होता है? It happens because I link the whole passage with your question. I haven't studied a specific topic in my school. I've never been interested in that. Since I've not studied that and something on that topic comes up in the examination, I'm uncomfortable while reading that because I'm not really comfortable with the jargons, with the methodology, with the explanation used there. And the only thing that will help you, rather two things that will help you answer such passages. One, solving eclectically. That is solving passages on various topics. Two, when you solve them, please focus on exactly the claims the author has made. What lines are the author's claim? Let me write that down. One, lines that are author's personal opinion. Okay, so for example, I think, or for example, those lines that you may not agree with, but the author ardently believes in, strongly promotes over and over again. Even if you focus on those lines, 80% of your battle is won there. So mind my words, the lines that are author's claims, the lines that are author's opinions, the lines that the author strongly believes in, promotes, and gives many examples to justify, which others might or might not agree with. For example, schools are good or bad, you might or might not agree with, the author has an opinion. American government schools, the author has an opinion. Private schools, the author has an opinion. If you pay attention to the personal opinion of the author, you will never go wrong with any kind of passage. Okay? Gagandeep, start with a simple newspaper. Start with the Aeon or the Guardian or the New York Times or the Hindu. एक पेपर लो, दो आर्टिकल पढ़ना स्टार्ट करो. Read. I'll answer this in Hindi because Gagandeep is he wants me to answer this in Hindi. दो आर्टिकल पढ़ो, तमीज से पढ़ो, जिस्ट समझो उसका क्या है, क्या बोल रहा है author, what is exactly the author saying. If you pay attention to क्या बोलना चाहता है author, none of the difficult words will bother you. None of the difficult lines will bother you. आपको एक ही question answer करना है. What is the author trying to say here? So let's start with 2 articles, Gagandeep, from any newspaper, and then gradually increase it to 4 or 5 daily. Why people attack someone's opinion nowadays? Okay, I'll choose not to answer that. I'll wind up the class, everyone. Have a very good day. I shall see you again next Friday with another such interesting passage. Make sure you do your homework. Comment under the video with what exactly is the main idea that you think I shall be answering each one of them. Have a very good day, everyone. God bless you.